Guys, hello, how are you?
Fine, ma'am.
Sorry, I have an internet problem and with link, that's why. Okay, our topic is called Medicine of New Times and Biomedical Disciplines, and today we'll talk about pathology, about histology, about physiology and microbiology, and about founders. Okay, who want to start?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Start.
when did new time begin?
Biomedical disciplines.
When did new time begin?
Ma'am, 1700th century.
16, yes?
1700. 1700 second.
16th century and 1640 till until 1980, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens in this period?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens in this period?
Ma'am,
About history of new time.
history of new time. Yes, ma'am. Medicine during the 1700s second growth of city towns during the 1700s placed imposed pressures on the availability of cheaping house, with many people coming to town to find work. Slums area grew quickly. Then, ma'am, the drinking water was often contained by raw sewerage. Garbage was left rotting in the street. Problems with the disposal of the dead often added the stench and decay. Medicine during the 1700s, due to the growing use of dissection as a part of medical training, most doctors in the 1700 a practical knowledge of the uh, human body diagnosis and successfully treatment disease, however often hit and miss. Even having your teeth pulled could be fatal. Major surgery was particularly dangerous. Dirty surgical instrument caused many infections. Flea even in household and many diseases were spread in the crowded urban environment. In many towns, hospitals and dispensaries are often basic health care to poor children. Um, for example, old sailors and soldiers. Um, and as a last report, dozen of quacks were on the handover. Array of potions, powder of the most despair, the relief from pain, the discomfort. Medicine during the 1700, doctor based their diagnosis of illness on the assent and belief of humors, bodily tension of the other crowd, doctor's dogmas. And the medicine described were just a bad in Europe. Anything was used in the mixing and making for drugs. In America, the common sense to medicine prevailed. During 18th century, America, the most common used medicine were botanical. In fact, the read material were the herbals catalogs, which explain how healing herb grew.
Okay, what do you
Ma'am-
understand
Yes, ma'am.
after this reading?
Ma'am, may I next?
Okay, what do you
Ma'am,
understand? Muhammad Amin,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you understand?
Ma'am, I understand the ancestor time is better also than in this present time, because instead of no proper treatment, no proper medicines, and in present the proper treatment of all diseases.
That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who wants to continue?
Ma'am, may
Yes,
I?
ma'am. I can continue.
May I? Yes, may I?
Okay,
During
continue.
medicine during the
Ma'am,
17
continue about what, ma'am?
What?
What about should I continue?
About new time.
About the new time. Okay. The new term was basically derived in the 16th century in 1640, which take place to 1918. It had many great developments for the colonial system and the struggle for redistribution of colonies that ended in 1918 to the most. Then capitalist production required development of natural sciences. It also was the cause to develop the production of these natural sciences. Out discoveries. There were many discoveries in the 17th to 18th centuries, which have a great influence in the modern medicine. Morphological sciences, just like pathology, histology, physiology, and microbiology, and all clinical medicine received uh, predominant development, which started here. There are many like great
Stop.
discoveries of the natural sciences.
You
Yes,
are
ma'am.
now about what?
Yes, ma'am.
You are now about what? Because I don't understand.
Ma'am, I can hear you. What are you saying?
What happens in the new time when? Please continue for after
Okay, ma'am.
the Muhammad Amin.
Okay, ma'am. About the discoveries and all that.
No, about during the 18th century America, the most commonly.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. I will do it. Mm, there was the
Okay, when
development of the.
okay,
Yes, ma'am.
about history of new time, and in the 16th century, yes, was
Yes, ma'am.
first introduced new time, and
Yes, ma'am.
we have a morphological science in this period and clinical medicine.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
morphological.
ma'am. I was explaining about that the first time, the new time. I described
Mm-hmm.
all about it.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes, ma'am.
morphological sciences is the one pathology, histology, and
Yes, ma'am.
physiology.
Pathology,
Yes.
histology. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to about that. I was going about the child.
And what about clinical medicine? Which subject do you know about
Yes,
clinical
ma'am.
medicine?
Clinical medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It was also like received predominant development in the new time. Uh,
No, what is the clinical medicine difference
Clinical
about
medicine.
morphological?
Okay. You mean the definition?
Yes, yes, a difference between morphological and with the
Okay, ma'am.
clinical.
So, a clinical is a field of medicine that deals with the practice basically, and study based on direct
Yes.
examination of patient, experimentation basically. And morphological is more like not uh, examination. It is about study.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Clinical, which subject do you know, for example?
Yes, ma'am. Just like surgery and all that.
Yes. Therapy, surgery, yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, continue about discoveries.
Discoveries, okay, ma'am. Discoveries of the natural sciences, the theory of cellular structure of organisms by Shawn and Sheldon in 1838. Then comes the law of conservation and transformation of energy by Lavoisier, Lomonosov. Then the evolution of doctrine by Charles Darwin. Then G. Mendel's law of heredity and variability. Then there was the formation of anatomical schools in Western Europe and Russia. Anatomy, it was basically derived from a Greek word anatomy, which means cutting or dissection. The largest anatomical school of the time was founded at Leiden University, which is in Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the largest anatomists of the time, Frederick Roche, received his medical education at the University of Leiden. He defended that distortion in 1665 and was invited to Amsterdam to lecture on anatomy for cities guild surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to describe his work also, or continue with the discoveries?
Now about who's the now you're what is the cell?
Yes, ma'am.
You said about the theory of cellular structure, yes, of
Yes,
living
ma'am. Yes,
organisms. And
ma'am.
what is the cell?
A cell is basically the building block of life.
And can you say me about plant cell and with the animals? Difference between plant cell with the animal cell?
Plant cell and animal cell. The
Yes.
difference. Basically, it has a cell wall, and
Mm-hmm.
plant cells have cell wall, and they do not have any cell wall. Plant cells have vacuole, but the ones with animal cells do not have vacuole.
Mm-hmm.
These are the basically main difference, and basically, it is obvious that plant cells are present in plants, and animal cells are present in animals, and they are
Mm-hmm.
and one is prokaryotic and one is eukaryotic.
Mm-hmm. And so it's about uh, chloroplast.
Yes, ma'am.
What about chloroplast
Chloroplast, it's the inner part of the in which everything lies.
in animal cell?
Yes, ma'am.
In animal cell.
No. Not in animal cells. It is present in plant cells. I thought,
Okay.
and there is also present chlorophyll, which gives them the
Mm-hmm.
green color.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
this was Samir Ahmed, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, full 20 score.
Ma'am, can I ask something?
Okay, and the next, at the end,
Ma'am?
you will ask, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, but I wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
I have submitted my independent work at like 4 April. You marked it very low. Didn't know why. So I did my work again. I re-uploaded it. So you have not checked. It's been like 5 days already. Can you
How
check it
many
today?
points I gave you?
You gave me only 40, so I don't know why you gave me so low, but then I did the work again, so I re-uploaded. I asked you to check, but you say I will check, but it's been like 6 days or 5 days, but still
Okay.
you didn't check it.
Okay, I will check, okay? Don't worry, because any students
Okay,
until loading, that's why I'm
okay,
waiting
ma'am.
for the students. Okay, don't
Ma'am,
Okay,
worry,
ma'am.
I will check.
Okay,
And
ma'am,
you sent me full slides, yes?
yes, ma'am. I have sent four. I have sent two firstly. Then I thought it was not good, so I uploaded two again. So for you to check.
You should send me 6 slides, yes? And you just send me
Okay, ma'am.
4 slides.
Okay, I will upload now. I didn't knew the criteria, that's why. So I will do it again. I'm sending no problem.
No, not again. Just two slides.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. And for the next student,
May I?
May I?
okay,
ਹਾਂਜੀ
okay,
ਵਿੱਚ
Abdul Rauf.
Yes, ma'am.
ਰਫੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਯਾਰ
Yes, ma'am. But ma'am,
Okay, continue about the formation of anatomical school.
ma'am, anatomy, the largest anatomical school at that time was founded by Leiden University. One of the largest anatomists of the time, Friedrich Reich, received his medical education at the University of Leiden. Reich defended his dissertation in 1665 and was invited to Amsterdam to lecture on anatomy for the city guild of surgeons. Frederick Research is an outstanding Deutsch anatomist. He perfectly mastered the technique of preparing anatomical preparations and the method of injection blood vessels with colored liquids. He invented an original way to embalm corpse, created the first anatomical museum, over 200 exhibits, 2000 exhibits. Founding of anatomical school in Russia. Founding of anatomical school in Russia is associated with the era of Peter, 1682 to 1725. Peter attended research lectures in Amsterdam in 1698 and 1777, was present at operations and anatomical dissections. In 1707, by decree of Peter, I was the first hospital school in Russia, was founded at the General Hospital in Moscow. Autopsies were carried out in at which the Tesser was present. Peter I established in Moscow in 1699 a course of lectures for Beor and anatomy with a demonstration or corpse. In 1717, Peter I acquired anatomical collection, 2000 exhibits, which become the beginning of the funds of the first Russian museum, the Kunstakmare.
What, Abdul Rauf, what does it mean, Peter Y?
What, ma'am?
What does it mean, Peter Y?
Peter Hawaii?
It's not Peter Y.
Peter, yes, ma'am. Peter
Peter
and
Y,
Stuart
what?
Boris Johnson lead the tribute after
No,
that
what
of
does it
farm.
mean, Peter Y? It's not Peter Y. Guys, help to the Abdul Rauf.
I cannot understand what you are saying.
It's not Peter Y.
Peter 1.
Yes.
Peter one.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, continue.
Development of general pathology include pathological anatomy and pathological physiology. Pathological anatomy, from the Greek pathos, disease, is a science that studies the structural foundation of pathological process, emerged from anatomy in the middle of the 18th century. Its development in new time history is divided into two periods, macroscopic and microscopic. Macroscopic period of pathology development. The cell theory was formulated in the work of German scientist, botanist Matthias Schilden, 1804-1881, and zoologist Sean, 1810 and 1882. Matthias Schilden in 1838 showed that every cell has a nucleus and defined its role in the development and division of cell. Theodor Schwann
What does it mean? Macroscopic and microscopic.
Macroscopic, ma'am, it's a study. Ma'am, macroscopic is a visible to the naked eye,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
microscopic is a study in a microscope.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. This was Abdul Rauf, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 20. Don't disappear because it will be
may I?
zero.
Yes. Okay, ma'am.
May I?
Okay, Shahroz Zaib Tabassum. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The first attempt to systemize body tissue without use of a microscope was made by the French physician Marie Francois Xavier Bichet, 1771 to 1802, who is considered the founder of histology as a science. He created the first classification of body tissue. The beginning of pathological anatomy as a science was laid by the Italian anatomist and physician Giovanni Battista Morgagni, 1682 to 7071. The
Mm-hmm.
founders of pathology in Western Europe, Giovanni Morgani, 6082 to 7021, Francois Bichet, 7071 to 8002, Karl Rokitansky, 8004 to 8078, and Rudolf Virchow, 8021 to 1902. Francois Xavier Bichet, 7071 to 8002. Francois Xavier Bichet is considered the founder of histology as a science. He showed that the vital activity of an individual organ is composed of the function of various tissue. Disease process is localized not in organ but in the tissue. Giovanni Margoni, 6082 to 7021. Giovanni Margoni is an Italian anatomist and physician. He showed that each disease caused certain changes in specific organ. He created the first scientifically based classification of disease. Karl Rokitansky is Vienna's Vienna and Paris Academy of Science. In 1844, he created the first department of pathological anatomy in Europe. He created a three-volume work manual of pathological anatomy based on more microscopic method of research. The main cause of disease was considered a change in the composition of fluid in organism. The principle of the morphological method in pathology were laid by Rudolf Virchow, a German doctor, pathologist, and public figure, taking into account the theory of cellular structure. He first applied in the study of a sick organism and created the theory of cellular pathology outlined in the article Cellular Pathology as a doctrine based on physiological and pathological histology. He believed that the cell is the material substance of the disease. Development of histology.
Mm-hmm.
Histology from the Greek histologia, tissue teaching, is a science studying structure of tissue of living organism. Development of histology include two periods, pre-microscopic and microscopic. The, the founder of histology, Robert Hooke, 6035 to 7007, introduced the term microscope 30 time magnification in 6025. Microscope technology, magnifying glasses microscope was born. Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, 6032 to 7023, the founder of scientific microscopy. Marcello Malpighi, 6028 to 1694, made a great contribution to the development of histology. Jan Evangelist Purkinje, 7087 to 8069, is one of the founder of doctrine of the cellular structure. Anthony van Leeuwenhoek is a Dutch naturalist, inventor of the microscope, founder of scientific microscopy. For the first time in history, he explored the microscopic structure of various forms of living tissue using his invention, achieved high perfection in the manufacture of lenses, which gave magnification of the 270 times. In 6065, in He described the smallest bodies and called them cells. Marcello Malpighi, Italian physician anatomist, in 1661 he discovered the capillaries, described the formed element of blood. In 1671 he present two work on the formation of chicken in egg and on the development of an egg. The text was accomplished by a 12 table with 86 figures. Jan Evangelist Purkinje 1787 to 1869 was a Christian naturalist and public figure. He is the founder of the Prague histological school. He is one of the founder of the theory, the cellular structure. He discovered the fibers of the cardiac conduction.
Okay, now you are about
Yes, ma'am.
what? Histology, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. What is the histology?
Ma'am, study of tissue.
Mm-hmm. And we have a types of tissue, yes? How many types you do you know?
What are you say, ma'am?
You said that histology is the science of tissue, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Studying of the structure of tissue. And how many types do you know?
How many type? Ma'am, there are four basic tissue type. And there are four basic tissue type: epithelial tissue, connective tissue,
Mm-hmm.
muscle tissue, and nervous tissue.
Mm-hmm. And what is the epithelial tissue?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, epithelial tissue.
Yes, it's cover external surfaces, yes, skin, and line the inside of the all organs, intestines, or form glands.
Ma'am, unfortunately, my network problem. 1 minute. Epithelial tissue.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Epithelial tissue was, ma'am, it is widespread throughout the body. They form the covering of all body surface, like line, body cavities, and hollow organs. There are major tissue in glands. They perform a variety of functions that include, ma'am, secretion, protection, diffusion, and sensory reception. Like.
Okay, this
Okay,
was
ma'am.
شخص زي تبسم, yes?
Yes, ma'am. She rose it.
Okay, 20 score.
Okay, ma'am. Kharashu.
Don't disappear.
May I?
Okay,
Okay.
who want to continue?
May I continue, ma'am?
Yes, continue about microbiology.
Development of microbiology. Microbiology from the Greek word micros, which means small. Microbiology is the science of microorganisms, their structure and life, as well as the changes that cause in the organism of people, animal, plants, and Anim, animin, animate nature. There are two main periods in the history of microbiology. One is empirical and the other is experimental. Empirical works by Edward Jenner, development of antiseptics, Ignaz Semmelweis and Joseph Lesner, and experimental work by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch and Mechanikov. Edward Jenner, 1749 to 1823, is a British physician. May 14, 1796, he publicly conducted an experiment on the method of vaccination against smallpox. Let an Wokamin cow inoculated on 18-year-old boy with the content of a pustule from the hand of a peasant woman who had contracted cowpox. This experiment was repeated 23 times. Ignaz Semmelweis, 1818 to 1865. Ignaz Semmelweis is Hungarian doctor, pointer of antiseptic from the Greek anti against septicos, portrait, and asepsis mean destruction of bacteria on objects. Working in obstetric clinic in Vienna, he found that the cause of septic complication in postpartum women are the dirty hands of medical personnel. He proposed a method of protection washing hands with a solution of bleach. Joseph Lister, 1827 to 1912. Joseph Lister, a Scottish surgeon, linked the suppuration of wounds to the injuries of bacteria, providing a scientific explanation for surgical infection. Developed theoretically sustained measure using a 2 to 5% solution of carbolic acid. He sprayed carbolic acid in the operating room air and treated atoms in contact with the wound, surgeon hand, instrument, and dressing, etc. Louis
Mhm.
Pasteur is a French chemist, founder of microbiology immunology, studied the role of microorganisms in the process of fermentation, decay, and disease. Louis Pasteur created a vaccine against anthrax in 1881 and rabies in 1885. In 1885, Louis Pasteur organized the first inter-rabies station in Paris. Latent rabies created an institute to control rabies and other infections. Robert Koch, 1842 to 1910. Robert Koch is German doctor, microbiologist, and hygienist, founder of bacteriology. Robert Koch discovered the causative agent of tuberculosis, cholera, and anthrax. Robert Koch outlined the concept of a pathological tuberculosis process. He proposed a method for growing bacterial culture on nutrient media. For his research on tuberculosis, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1905. Ilya Menikov. Ilya Menikov is an outstanding Russian biologist, pathologist, immunologist, and bacteriologist. He is the winner of the Nobel Prize in 1908 for the theory of immunity he described in his seminal work Studies on Nature. Emilia Minikov discovers leukocytes, spleen cell, bone marrow, called them phagocytes. He created the phagocytic theory, the theory of immunity to infectious disease. He was the organizer of the first pasture station in Russia to control rabies and other infectious diseases. Development of physiology in Western Europe and Russia. Physiology, derived from Greek physiology, nature teaching, is a science that studies the vital activity of an integral organism, its parts, systems, organ, and cell in close relationship with the surrounding nature. The history of physiology includes two periods. One is empirical and the other is experimental.
Mhm.
Experimental's two stages. One is before IP pulp, experimental physiological direction, and one is after IP pulp. Albrecht Haller. Albrecht Haller is a Swiss physiologist, naturalist, founder of experimental physiology. Al- Albrecht Haller established the essence of respiration in the lungs. He established the properties of muscle fiber
Okay, stop.
elasticity.
What's your name?
Muhammad Idris.
Muhammad Idris. Okay, can you say me difference between microbiology with the histology?
Macrobiology
And histology
and
difference.
in macrobiology we also study the bio, in the study of those organisms which we can see with the naked eye, but in histology we study about the whole organs. In microbiology, we also study about the tissues which we can see with the naked eye.
Mm-hmm. Just tissue.
Everything which we can see with the naked eye, but in histology, we more specifically study about the organs.
Mm-hmm.
Organs,
And
their
what is the
function.
bacteria?
What bacteria? Bacteria is a microorganism which some are beneficial and some cause diseases in animals, plants, causing tissues to damage, creating different problems for us. Some creating friendly environment for us.
Do you know types bacteria?
Type of beneficial and pathogenic bacteria.
What is the gram positive and gram negative?
Gram negative, it depend upon gram negative bacteria and gram negative. depends upon the cell wall constitution, which retain the stand that is called the gram negative and which didn't retain the stand after. So we stand at gram positive bacteria.
Okay,
Gram
this
positive bacteria is more resistance to drugs, etc.
mhm. Abdul Rauf and Shahruz Zaid Tabassum, they are the students left. That's why it will be absence 0.
Ma'am, can I?
Please
Zainul Abidin
tell them
GM2.
their answer. It doesn't matter what they did.
Ma'am, can I read?
Ma'am, can I read?
Okay, who
Hello,
wants
ma'am.
to continue?
Ma'am, can I?
Okay, Mian Rab Nawaz.
Uh, Ma'am, Zainul Abidin GM2. Hello, ma'am.
Okay, Zain Al Abdin.
Okay, ma'am. Albrecht Heller, 1702 to 1777, is Swiss physiologist, naturalist, founder of experimental physiology. He established the essence of respiration in the lungs. He established the properties of muscle fibers, elasticity, contractility, and irritability. Believed that physiological knowledge is associated with metaphysical thinking. He assumed that the contractions of the heart depend on an unknown cause which lies in the very structure of the heart. Author of one of the first textbooks on physiology. At the University of Göttingen, he founded an anatomical theater and a botanical garden. Ivan Shivan, Shinov. Ivan Shinov, 1829 to 1905, is the founder of physiology in Russia. Studied the physiology of respiration and blood, the dissolution of gases in liquids, and the exchange of energy. Laid the foundations of aviation and space physiology. Discovered the reflex nature of higher nervous activity. Began to consider the activity of the human brain as reflex. He wrote the work Reflexes of the Brain. Mental outlook. The level of culture is determined not by the individual characteristics of a person, but by the influence of living conditions and nature. Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov, 1849 to 1936, is an outstanding physiologist of Russia, laureate of the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1904, creator of the doctrine of higher nervous activity. He worked in the field of physiology of the cardiovascular, digestive, and central nervous systems. He substantiated the principle of nervism, the idea of the decisive role of the nervous system in the regulation of the functional state and activity of all organs and systems of the body. Revealed reflexes, conditioned, fixed under certain conditions, and unconditioned, available from birth. In Russia, the creation of the foundation of the materialistic direction in physiology is associated with the activities of A.M. Fili- Filimafatsky, Filimafatsky, 1807 to 1849, the founder of the Moscow Physiological School. In 1833, he defended his doctoral dissertation on the breathing of birds. Then, for 2 years, worked in Germany in the laboratory of von Moller, and in 1835 became a professor at Moscow University. A.M. Filmafitsky was one of the first propagandists of the experimental method in Russian physiology and medicine. Together with N.I. and Pyrogov, 1849 to 1936, he developed the method of intravenous anesthesia using the technique of vivisection. He studied the physiology of respiration, digestion, blood transfusion, treatise on blood transfusion 1848 created devices for blood transfusion, a mask for either anesthesia and other physiological devices. AM. Filimofitsky is the author, the first Russian textbook, Physiology published for the leadership, the listeners, 1836. P. Botkin began with transformations. He was the first in Russia to create an experimental laboratory at his clinic in 1860 to 1861, where he performed physical and chemical analysis and studied the physiological and pharmacological effects of medicinal substances. He was the first to suggest that catarrhal jaundice was caused by an infection, jaundice hepatitis. In the early 1860s, Botkin was appointed a member of the Medical Commission of the Imperial Ministry of Internal Affairs. And Dietrich Barford in January 25 to 1849, March 29 to 1927. Physiologist, anatomist, embryologist, teacher, rector of the University of Rostock, Doctor of Medical Sciences, D. Barford's scientific works was concerned especially the physiology and biology of human and animals. In recent years, he worked mainly in the field of evolutionary mechanics. He was engaged in the issue of organ regeneration at different stages of life.
Okay, you said me about anesthesia. What is anesthesia?
Uh, what, ma'am? Anesthesia?
Yes.
Ma'am, anesthesia is it is
What?
a state of controlled temporary loss of sensation or awareness that is induced for medical purposes. It includes some of analgesia, paralysis, amnesia, and unconsciousness. A patient under the effect of anesthetic drug is referred to as being anesthesia. It includes paralysis, amnesia, and unconsciousness analgesia. Uh, it is a combination of medications that put in a sleep like state before a surgery or medical procedure. It is treated by general anesthesia, pain. You don't feel pain because you are completely unconsciousness. General anesthesia usually uses a combination of intravenous drugs and inhaled gases.
And what is the blood?
What, ma'am? I
Mm,
please again.
blood. You said me about blood transfusion.
Blood. What is
Blood.
blood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ma'am. What is blood? Ma'am, what is blood is a fluid that transport oxygen and nutrients to the cells and carries away carbon dioxide and other waste products. It carry transport oxygen and nutrient to the cells and carry away out of body from carbon dioxide and other waste products.
Mm-hmm.
Blood is a transport liquid pumped by the heart to all parts of the body, after which
Mm-hmm.
it return to the heart to replace the process. And the process is repeated many times, again and again. Okay, ma'am.
And that's all about blood.
What, ma'am?
And
Blood?
composition, formulation, compound of blood, you know?
Types of blood?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, it's types red blood cell. Blood is mostly made of plasma, but three main types in blood. That is platelets, red blood cells and white blood cells. Platelets help to the blood to clot. Clotting stops the blood from flowing of the body when a vein or artery is broken. And red blood cell carry oxygen, and the last white blood cell ward of infection. And red blood cell also called erythrocytes.
Okay. Zainal
Okay, ma'am.
Abdiniz.
Yes, ma'am. GM2.
Mm-hmm. 20 score full. 20 score, don't
Okay, ma'am.
disappear.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am.
Where is Muhammad Idris Khan?
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Mm-hmm. And Shahroz Zayib Tabassum is absent. Abdul Rauf absent. Samir Ahmed.
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Mm-hmm. And Muhammad Amin.
Present, ma'am.
Okay.
He is present, ma'am.
Okay, Fahir Abbas, continue. About, can you say me about microbiology?
What, ma'am?
Microbiology.
Microbiology is the branch of biology microbiology is a branch of biology which we deals microbes, small organisms, etc.
And about founders.
Uh, ma'am, found the found development of ma'am, microbiology from the Greek micro small is a science of microorganisms, their structure and life, as well as the changes they cause in organisms of people, animals, and plants and in nature. There are two main periods in the history of microbiology. First, empirical; second, experimental. Empirical works by Edward Jenner, development of antiseptics, and experimental works by Louis Pasteur, Robert Koch, and Edward Jenner died 1749 to 1823. Edward Jenner is British physician, ma'am. He May 2014, 1796, he publicly conducted an experiment on the method of vaccination, inoculated an 8-year-old boy with the contents of postulate from the hand of patient woman who had contracted cowpox. This experiment was repeated 23 times. Ma'am, second scientist Ignaz Semmelweis, he is a Hungarian doctor, pioneer of antiseptics from Greek anti against and space destruction of bacterial objects. Working in an obstetric clinic in Vienna, he found that cause of septic complications in postpartum women are the dirty hands of medical personnel. He proposed a method of protection, washing hands with a solution of bleach. Joseph Lister, read, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Lister is the Scottish surgeon linked the suppression of wounds to the ingress of bacteria, providing a scientific explanation for surgical infection. He developed a theoretically substantiated measures using 2 to 5% solution of carbolic acid. Separate carbolic acid is the operating room air and treated items in contact with the wound, surgeon's hands, instrument dressing. Louis Pasteur, 1822 to 1895, is the French. He is a French scientist. He is the founder of microbiology and immunology. Yes, Louis Pasteur is the founder of microbiology. He studied the role of microorganisms in the process of fermentation, decays, and diseases. Created a vaccine against anthrax, 1881, and rabies, 1885. In 1885, he organized the first anti-rabies station in Paris, created an institute to control rabies and other infections. Next scientist, Robert Koch. Robert Koch, 1843-1910, is a Robert Koch, is a German scientist. Microbiologist, hygienist. He's a founder of he's a founder of bacteriology. Yes, he's a founder of bacteriology. He discovered the causative agent of tuberculosis, cholera, and anthrax. He outlined the concept of pathological tuberculosis process called trades. He proposed a method for growing bacterial cultures on neutral media. For his research on tuberculosis, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology in Medicine in 1905. Yes, that's it, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Fahir Abbas, can you say me about difference between macroscopic and microscopic?
What, ma'am?
Can you say me about macroscopic and microscopic difference?
Okay. Ma'am, microscopic means so small to be visible only with the microscope. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
next macroscopic, and ma'am, the physical properties of matter can be viewed either from macroscopic or microscopic level. Where the macroscopic level includes anything seen with the naked eye, and microscopic level include atoms and molecules, things that not seen with naked eye. Both levels describe matter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 20 score.
May I?
Ma'am, may
12
Ma'am,
Kiani.
Okay,
Ma'am,
Alina,
Ma'am,
Arif.
Tala Khalid Gm02.
Ma'am, development of physiology in Western Europe and Asia.
Now, say me about difference
Physiology.
between plant cell with the animal cell. Just this one.
Ma'am, cell wall difference. Plant cells have cell walls and animals don't have cell wall.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
And plant cells, they are, one of them is a eukaryotic and one is prokaryotic. Uh, one have a small vacuole and one has. That's all.
Okay, that's all.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about when did a new time begin?
Ma'am, 16th century.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And who was the Robert Hooke?
Robert Hooke.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, ma'am.
Okay, Alina, Arif, 15. Next one,
Tala Khalid Gm02, ma'am.
Talha Khalid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you say me about Morgani?
Yes, ma'am.
About Giovanni Morgani.
Again, ma'am, I can't understand.
Giovanni Morgani.
Giovanni Morgani. Hello,
Yes.
ma'am. Giovanni Morgani is Italian anatomist and physician. He showed that disease causes certain changes in specific organs. He created first scientifically based classification of disease. Medicine 1800 to 1899. Giovanni Battista Morgani, pioneer of pathological anatomy, author of One the Seed and Cause Disease, established existence of correlation between clinical symptoms and post-mortem findings. Morgani's researches helped establish a new epoch in medical science and new attitude towards specific diagnostic surgical interventions. His work encouraged scientists to find ways of detecting hidden anatomical lessons in living patients. This goal was realized the chest perfusion study of Leopold Eulenberger, the invention of stethoscope by Rani Lenens, the introduction of increasing sophisticated medical instrument establishment of his hospital medicine, pathological anatomy, Paris Hospital's tissue theory, Marine Francisco Xavier Bishop numerical method, clinical studies of Pierre Charles, Alexander Lois, and so forth. Medicine in 18 to 1899 century, although hospital reforms were difficult and expensive, hospital was transformed into a new center of medical treatment, and such is large elder hospital offered unprecedented opportunities of clinical experimentation and statistical studies.
Okay, Talhan
So
Khalid,
it is
20. And
Thank you.
the next one.
Yes, ma'am. Mohammed Tayyib.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Which topic I can?
Okay. Please say me about a difference between histology and microbiology. Just difference.
There's difference.
Mhm.
Ma'am, in microbiology, we can study about the bacteria, viruses, and microbes. Means, as the name shows, micro means small viruses and diseases such like that things, like smallpox and many of the diseases all over the diseases we can study in micro. And also means we have the five kind of classification, and one of them is uh, just only for microorganisms, that is fungi, uh, bacteria. We all over these organisms we study in microbiology. And second one is histology. Histology, its definition is that the we can it is the branch of biology in which we can deal with the tissue, study of tissue with the help of microscope. uh, in previous means in ancient times,
Mhm.
histology, whenever microscope is not discovered, invented, at that time the histology is studied just only by normal eyes. And when microscope is invented, the histology is in histology lots of the developments and discoveries is organized just because of microscope. And
Mhm.
many of the things, like in laboratories and in lots of things, we can use microscope. Mm, mm, we also called easily called that microscope is attached or connected with histology. And in
And what
histology,
is the bacteria?
yes, ma'am.
What is the bacteria?
What is bacteria? Bacteria is a microorganism. There and there are lots types of bacteria in which we can some bacteria uh, give us benefits, some give us losses. And it is like microorganisms. And it is prokaryotes. They cannot have a centralized nucleus, cannot have cell wall, cell membrane. And like eukaryotic animals can't have organ. That is
Okay,
bacteria.
yeah, 20 score full.
Okay, thank you so
Next
much, ma'am.
one.
Yes, ma'am, may I?
Mm-hmm. Okay, about physiology.
Physiology, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, physiology is a science that study with intelligent activity of generations of the of organism, its part, symptom, organ, and cells in a close relationship with surrounding natures. I mean, so history of histology including two periods, empirical and ma'am, you hear
Mm-hmm.
me?
Mm-hmm.
Empirical, ma'am, and experiment. There are two stages, ma'am, before and after.
That's all?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's definition, ma'am.
Yes, about founders.
Of founder, ma'am. I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes, ma'am.
And when new time is did start?
Ma'am, I think was one founder holler. Ma'am, I'm right? It's a
No, just say me when new time did start.
what time start?
New time, new time.
Ma'am, 16th century.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is the morphological science and clinical science?
Morphological science and clinical science.
Did you listen us?
Yes. What, ma'am?
Did you listen us? Because we said about this one.
Ma'am, ma'am,
Yes.
mm, ma'am, morphological science without practice and clinical with practice. Am I right, ma'am?
What?
Ma'am, morphological is without practice and clinical is with practice, ma'am. Is different between morphological and clinical.
Which subject?
Mm,
Which subject?
Ma'am, physiology, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
What? Difference between morphological and clinical.
Ma'am, morphology is a branch of biology that studies the structure of organism
Mm-hmm.
and their future. And physiology is a branch of science, is also branch of science that studies the normal functions of organism and their parts of morphology as internal and outward of any organism. operations of all, and this mean different.
Okay. سؤال كيانيز.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys, do you understand this topic?
Ma'am Abdul Hanan Zia, GM2.
Okay, Abdul Hanan Zia. Just say a difference between morphological science and clinical medicine. And for the next time, your homework is please read again your slides, because I will ask you about this topic, student independent work, next time. And because I should put you marks, and I will ask you one question about your slides and this sixth topic.
Ma'am,
And after
morphology
the
is
week,
branch of biology that studies the structure of organism and their features,
okay, Abdullah
physiology.
Nanzia, wait please. And after the 1 week, you have a module. That's why come prepared, be active, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Abdullah Nanzia, continue.
Yes, ma'am. Difference between morphology and clinical biology. In morphology is the branch that deals with the form of the living organisms, structure of organisms and their features. Physiology is a branch of biology that studies the normal functions of organism and their parts. And clinical biology, we study the internal structure of the animals and at cellular and microscopic level. Okay. Ma'am, we in morphology we study the internal parts is referred to as internal, and it has also two branches, internal and external. In internal we study internal parts, and in external we study with respect to shape, size, color and structure, which is also known as external morphology. And its examples are
And
ma'am, clinical biology is health profession such as doctor of medicine, paramedic, or biology that is specialized in clinical biology, a medicine specialty derived from the clinical pathology. The concept includes interventional biology, including assisted reproductive technology. The clinical microbiologists are medical, they are workers that perform laboratory research. They study microscopic organisms like bacteria, fungi, often to gain knowledge about fighting and preventing diseases. Microbiologists, including clinical microbiologists, work full-time schedules during.
who is helping you?
No one, ma'am.
No one.
No one.
Who is helping you?
No one, ma'am.
But I'm here.
Ma'am, there. I live in hostel. There, two men sleeping.
2 men sleeping?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 20 score. Okay, do you understand your homework?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, guys. Okay, thank you, guys. And for the next time, please come prepared for the topics of student independent work, okay?
Okay.
And these students, please tell them that Shahruz Zaid Tabassum and Abdul Rauf is absent 0, okay?
Okay,
Excuse me,
ma'am.
ma'am. Hello.
Because they left.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, Sheikh Tayyab.
Ma'am, till now you can't graded our assignments, independent works,
Oh, okay,
because
okay. I will check. Don't
okay,
worry.
okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. I hope it's your own works. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.
Take care, ma'am.
Okay, guys.